I'm Lee Hogan and welcome to MXTV. Now, the Australian Supercross Championship headed to the biggest venue on the calendar, the GMHBA Stadium in Geelong. And of course, we were there to check it all out. Let's take a look.
I've been crook all year and I haven't been doing any racing, so started feeling a little bit better, and then I went out and bought this Kawasaki. Started riding at home with some of my buddies and back racing Supercross. Here we are, round 3 in Geelong. Not too much has been done to this bike. I got Pro Circuit Performance to do the suspension. It's pretty good. I haven't had a whole lot of time on it. We did a little bit of testing this week and we've improved it a lot. Other than that, the motor's stock pipe. I put a 51 rear sprocket on it, different bars. I mean, I can't afford to, get the motor and pipe and everything done on it right now. So, this little Supercross gig I'm doing, very last minute. But Kawasaki being great as well, they've helped me out a little bit. Canberra Motorcycle Centre have helped me out a lot. It's good to be back at the track. Everyone's pumped I'm here and giving me a hand, which has been great.
For Australia, this is definitely a massive stadium. I mean, even coming from the States, this is a big one and a big floor space. Actually, the track is really small. It's a short lap time, but I've done arena cross in the States the last few years, and for me, I think it's really going to help me out there on the 30-second lap time, being really tight.
Missed calls from my ex now, but I'm staying focused in the lab, baby.
It's cool atmosphere, like you do get a buzz from the big crowd and stuff, but when it's race time, I just head down and you just do what you do. I'll get on the start gates and I'll look at that first corner and tell myself I'm going to hole shot, and that's what I do, and I find that works pretty good if I zone out and just do my own thing.
We haven't really made any changes, really, just the gear ratio on the wheels and just jetting, and we just mainly suspension too. Supercross series I own place first. I don't know by how much, but I'm finally getting in my groove, feeling comfortable. The track is really flowing. It's getting a bit dry now, but it's getting more technical.
The new Kawasaki 450 bone stock, it definitely has a lot of power. One thing that I do really like about it is the hydraulic clutch. I've never really rode one of those, except a couple bikes do have them now. They're starting to come more and more, but the Honda doesn't have that yet. And that's one thing that you have a really good feel with the clutch, which helps for the starts. And my starts have been really on point lately, and definitely tonight that's going to be another thing, is getting great starts. And there'll be short races. There's 3 main events, so it's going to be exciting. Having 2 rounds under my belt in the Supercross series, it's definitely different than the States. The tracks, it's been the main thing for me. The dirt has been difficult for me to adapt to, but as I've been riding it and getting more comfortable on the bike and getting more testing done, it's made it easier for me. So every time I ride, I feel better and better, and today I qualified 4th, which is only like 0.3 seconds off the quickest time, which is the best I've had.
We could be famous.
Now let's take a closer look at Kawasaki's all-new KX450 with Jeremy McGrath.
In racing, you guys know passing is key, but it's not always about power. Sometimes you gotta drive it in deeper and brake a little later to make your move. The brakes on the KX450 have been updated with a larger rear disc and improved brake pad material. The new coil spring front forks on the KX450 provide amazing feel and progressive dampening, and along with the new larger diameter front axle, deliver improved front traction and front end feel. Also, the rear suspension of the KX450 has been updated to improve overall performance, thanks to a new swing arm, shock, and linkage.
Now here's something to think about next time you're choosing a premix for your 2-stroke. It's the Modal 800 2T. It's a 100% synthetic lubricant based on double ester technology. Now what does that mean? Well, it's specially designed for all dirt bike racing premixed 2-stroke engines that operate at high revs and under high load. It's got very high lubricating properties which decrease friction, wear and prevents piston rings and exhaust power valves from sticking And the great thing about it is it's red in colour, so it's easy to tell if you've mixed it in with your fuel. You can find the Modal 800T2 at your local dealership.
Hey guys, today's technical tip brought to you by Suzuki is chain tension. Chain tension is important for a number of reasons. A chain that's too tight will put a lot of pressure on your wheel bearings, gearbox bearings, chain and your sprockets, as well as accelerating the actual wear of your actual chain sliders and chain guides. A chain on the loose side, on the other hand, will also cause chain sliders to wear a lot quicker than they are if the chain's flopping around as well. And if the chain is running majorly too loose and you've got your chain guides worn out, there's a good chance that you're going to derail a chain as well, which is certainly not an ideal thing to be doing. Your chain tension also has a huge effect on suspension as well. If your suspension is generally not feeling that good, a lot of the times, a lot of it is because your actual chain is running too tight. The best way to tension a chain is to actually pull the bike off the stand. The tightest point, or when the chain's at its tightest point, is when the center of the counter shaft, the center of your swing arm pivot, and your axle are in one straight line. To ascertain that, what you need to do is lay over the top of the bike and actually compress the rear suspension and make sure that you've actually got chain free play at that point. You don't want the chain to be like a banjo string at that point. You're putting way too much pressure on the chain, the sprockets, and the bearings, both in your gearbox and in your wheels. My suggestion would be is checking your chain tension after every decent ride, or if you're at a motocross event doing multiple laps, you've got time, you know, when you're doing your basic bike check between motos, once you've got a good idea on where your chain tension should be, do it after you've washed your bike. It's a good idea before you put it in the shed. You can check it before you go out for your next ride. You know exactly where everything's at. And it saves a lot of time, especially if you're getting up early to go for a ride. You don't want to be forgetting it because it is an important thing to be keeping an eye on. There you go, guys. That's a basic rundown of chain tension. Very important thing, and it's a worthwhile thing to keep an eye on. Till next time, see you later.
Your family like my family? Upset, sad, disappointed? We can fix that, and just in time for Christmas too. Turn that frown upside down with some MXTV merchandise. Get Dad a stubby holder, and there's an MXTV shirt for all the family. And hold it on.
Welcome back to MXTV, thanks to Pod Knee Braces. Now, JGR Racing have been running a motocross team since 2008, and now, 10 years down the track, they're backed by Suzuki Factory Racing, and they're getting stronger and stronger each year. So, we thought we'd drop in and check them out.
Today we're down at Northern Carolina, down here to check out JGR Suzuki. John Brasher, the brand manager, has invited us in to take us around and show us a little bit about what goes on at JGR Suzuki. So let's go in and check it out. G'day, John.
Hey, Brandon, nice to meet you. Thank you for visiting.
Thank you very much for the invite. I'm so excited.
So JGR MX, two stories here. I want to let everybody know that visitors can come. Also,
so anyone can come and you'll take them for a tour?
Yep. So as you can see here, the engine area, vital component of any race team, certainly for ours. We have the 450 and the 250 race team. So factory support, really exciting time for 2018. We got the full factory race team from Suzuki, which is exciting, which is 250, 450.
What do you work on to get power out of a 250?
Compression, and certainly there's a point of diminishing returns that you can't just keep adding more and more compression, but durability factors in there, how much heat you're building because of those factors, high compression pistons, machined heads, special valves, valve seats, CNC ports so that we can duplicate our settings from engine to engine so that we have everything runs the same. Throttle bodies, ECUs, radiators for the cooling, it goes on and on and on.
This is the parts room. It's an engine builder's dream. It's pretty amazing, thanks to our sponsors, what they can provide us with. So you're looking in, you see all these different pistons.
Ooh.
Obviously V7, that's the 7th version that they're working on. Just a lot of technology put into the engines now that we're a full factory team for 2018. A lot of development. So here it is. It's where the action happens.
This is what I like. How cool is this?
Yep.
We're here on a Monday, straight after High Point, and it's not even lunchtime. Bikes are bare, ready to go, all stripped down, so they'll clean engines up to the engine department, suspension to the suspension department. Then once that's done, how long does it take before they'll put those bikes back together? Will it be another day or 2 days?
Day and a half, 2 days.
250. Now this is a new program for you guys.
The goal is to get guys, start them on that 250, you know, have them be successful. Move up to the 450 class and be successful, all under the JGR awning.
That is awesome. So you're really keeping it as a program, like a little junior program, and then you're willing to keep them up to the 450, as long as they want to stay, of course.
Yes.
But that's a really cool program to be able to do that. You need some sunglasses on to be looking around here.
A lot of bling.
And how often do they do a suspension change? Like, will they service suspension?
Constantly. I mean,
really?
After every race, they're rebuilding shocks and forks. We have a shock and fork dyno, $250,000 machine that what Johnny does is he builds a suspension and then he tests it and breaks it in and makes sure that it is how it's supposed to perform on the track.
Well, John, that's been amazing, mate. Thank you so much for that
no
tour.
problem.
That was really cool to find out about that and talk to the guys. And you also let the guys, anyone from Australia that comes over, you do a trip around for them as well.
Yes.
Which is free of charge.
Absolutely.
Even better.
We would love to see our Australian friends. That'd be great.
Oh, mate, it's, I'm sure they'd love to come down here. But not only here, but half a mile up, they get to see the NASCARs as well. So, you know, it's worth a trip coming down to North Carolina to see you guys, see what's happening down here. You guys are building, you know, really good things. I think you're going to be way up the ladder there next year. There's no doubt about it. You're certainly climbing now. You're on Suzuki.
Yeah, appreciate it. That is the goal. Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you again, mate. I really appreciate it. All right. Hopefully we're back next year. I'll be here.
We'd love it.
See you, buddy.
Let's do some riding.
Hey. Now let's take a look at the brand new goggle out on the market by Spy. It's the Foundation goggle. Now this is the Foundation Plus. It comes with a spectral lens here, and it also comes with a bonus clear lens. Now every Foundation goggle comes with a bonus tear-off pack as well. And Spy say the Foundation goggle has the widest peripheral view on the market. Now the high definition Lexus lens provides sharper and more accurate vision in all lighting conditions. The ventilation system draws air through, creating a vacuum that pulls hot air from behind the lens, keeping you dry. They come with a 45mm roll-off system. The triple layer face foam has a moisture wicking fleece that provides a lot of comfort and keeps you dry long into the moto. And last of all, the Foundation goggle comes with a 45mm strap with a silicone rib on the inside to stop it from falling down. So there you go, a closer look at the Foundation goggle from Spy. Now let's take a closer look at Suzuki's RMZ 450. In today's quick tip brought to you by King Chrome, we're going to have a look at the second most valuable tool in your shed. First being, of course, the T-bars, but you should have one of these, a torque wrench. Now, if you've got two, even better. I have one that's in a 1/2 inch drive and also one of these in a 1/4 inch drive as well. Now, most of your bolts on your bike have got torque tolerances. All you got to do is check your manual and just see what tolerance these torque bolts have. Now, very, very important to torque your bolts, especially with aluminium frames. It's very easy just to wrench on a bolt and then strip out the aluminium thread quite easily on these bikes. So if you torque it to what the manufacturer says, you're going to have no problems whatsoever. Once you strip a thread, it is a nightmare to replace it. It really is. So it's much easier to go and invest in a torque wrench, torque all your nuts and bolts up, Some bolts are so important to torque up, like the triple clamp bolt. This one on the X-Trig even has the torque number on it. That's how important it is because it will affect your suspension. So go out, invest in a torque wrench, and it'll be your second best friend in the shed. Well, now we're down in the trenches. This is where it's all really happening. This is where the real cool stuff is because we've got the Pro Team Manager, Clay. Mate, this is awesome. You look after all of the riders, don't you?
Yeah, so everyone from that we have at Fox, from the Shift guys, the Fox guys, to sometimes our European riders over to the mountain bike side.
Yeah.
Pretty much any athlete that the brand sponsors comes through here at some point.
So when we look at the racing out on the AMA and we go, oh, they've got new gear all the time, you're the one that delivers that gear.
Yes.
How hectic does your weekend get?
Real crazy. It gets insane sometimes. I've had pretty much, I'd say 50% of the race weekends, I don't usually sleep from Thursday night to Friday morning until I fly out. So it gets crazy sometimes, for sure.
And it's not just on the day, like take us through what happens during the week. How do you work out from, Monday through to Friday, getting the gear right?
I think this whole process, the best way to look at what I do back here is I take whatever we did on the other side of the building, the product that a customer gets, and it's not about making it better, it's about making it personalized for each rider. The biggest thing that I have to really take into account once the season starts is it's all about making sure that the factory sends it on time for sublimated artwork and then handling the sewing stuff. So what our seamers do or sewers do, that's the biggest bulk of my work, is making sure that on Monday morning I get them a bunch of stuff to do, whether they're taking in the pant 1 inch or a 1/4 inch or whatever it is, that they're fixing the waist or adding in a tape to make it more rigid.
What happens with this riding gear after they're done? Because I think 3 sets for Roxon, 2 sets for most of the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
What happens with all that riding gear? It's a lot of riding gear.
It's tons. I mean, we're talking 7,000 different units of total pant and jerseys for the entire year for our athletes. So most of it, like you said, a rider would typically get between 2 to 3 pants and 4 to 5 jerseys a race weekend. Most of the time, honestly, they'll give away a set or 2. So like a fan or something like that, they'll sign a jersey at the end of the day and give those away. I'll take back 1 just to have as a spare for next weekend's practice, and they'll wear that 1 more time. But then anything else spare that they have, I give it to them and they take it back home, they wash it, and that becomes their practice gear.
So how do we get signed gear?
Signed gear?
How's it work?
I mean, you gotta be really nice to me, maybe slide some money under the table. I mean, that's the only way to do it.
Credit card details are coming your way.
Exactly.
Yep. And what about riders? How are they when you turn up? Are they like, for me, if you turn up with a bag of gear, you're like my best friend.
Right now, for me, like Marchbanks is really fun. Faulkner was really fun at the start too, because they're just so appreciative, And it's like, oh my God, I get this cool stuff and the butt patches and everything like that. But it does fade off over time. It becomes a part of your normal life. It just becomes expected. So it's work. Yeah. But it's fun when they're new. You know what I mean? Like when they don't expect it, that's when it's really great for me.
Yeah, that would be so much fun to see excitement out of their eyes. And thank you for taking us through all of this. It's been fantastic. You got a pretty cool job there, mate. You get to meet all the stars and say hello to them, and there's a lot of people out there would envy you.
Yeah, no, definitely I got to pinch myself, and probably worked and wanted to be in this job forever. So there's certain days where I'm getting yelled at by Roxon or something because a jersey didn't fit right, and I'm like, man, this sucks. But you go home and you think like, wow, like, I was just a kid watching that race at one point. So it definitely settles in. You have to take a step back and think like, really, I get paid to make gear and go to races every weekend, and it's pretty fun.
Well, it's almost time to go. Make sure you head over to the 7plus app if you want to watch the episode again. But other than that, it's all we got time for. Thanks so much for joining us. But make sure that you hold it on!